Greetings, everyone. My voice sounds funny because I just woke up. It is 9/11, the anniversary of the terrorist attack from 9/11. And Obama has announced a new war with Iraq and all this stuff's going on in the news. Everything's changing every day. So much news coming through. So, obviously, it's time to make an anime review video. I thought I'd made an anime video a while back, because I thought I'd already talked about some of these, but I guess I haven't. So if you haven't seen any anime in a while, or you've been looking for some good anime to watch, I'm going to give you a huge list of anime. There's like about 20 in my list, something like that. So I'm going to start out with the, these are the not so important ones. I'm going to just get them out of the way, and then I'm going to get into the sports ones, because I watch a lot of sports anime. And then I'm going to get into the really good shit. So stick around to the end if you are really interested in this. Probably the oldest one on my list that I can remember is Watamote, probably. If you haven't seen Watamote, it's about this girl who is kind of a loser in high school, and she can't get any friends, and she's like kind of like a hikikomori. She stays in the house a lot, and she doesn't know what to do, and she's always screwing up and fucking around. It's probably the only manga I've read in a long time, because somebody sent me a link to it, and I started reading it and got into it. I really like it. I think it had really good music in the beginning too. A lot of these anime have really good theme songs in the beginning. I'm going to start having to download those and listen to them in my car. Let's see. Next I have Suisei no Gargantia, which is kind of like a mecha anime, but not really. It's kind of about aliens, or it's kind of like Waterworld plus Battlestar Galactica. Because like there's these aliens that are fighting these enemies, but all of them originally originated on Earth, and then this one guy gets sent to Earth accidentally, and then he finds out the origin, and he doesn't know what to do about this whole situation. I don't want to give too much away, but pretty good. Plus the art style is really good. I like when anime is like really sunny and summery, and they draw like little sunburn marks on the knees. Lets you really know people are out in the sun. Also, there's anime Austin recommended to me called Space with Dandy. Space with Dandy is a dandy in space. That's all you need to know. It's a guy. He's a dandy. He's in space. He goes to this restaurant. It's pretty much like Hooters, but it's called Boobies a lot. And he has this alien that looks like a cat, but it's not really a cat, but he acts like a cat. But it's just like an alien race that's really similar to cats. And he has a robot. And those three guys, they hunt rare aliens to make money. And then there's these guys, and one of them's a monkey, and they're always chasing him around and trying to kill him. And sometimes they end up with these crazy scenarios. Basically, it's a science fiction anime that proposes a lot of weird science fiction-y comedy scenarios. And it's not got any plot to it. There's no like continuation between episodes. Some episodes, they all might die, the world might explode, but the next episode, everything's fine. So you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt and not worry about continuity or anything. So it's pretty good. It's on its second season now. Here's another one. The Manga Cot and his assistants, or the comic artist and his assistants. It's basically just a stupid slapstick comedy. But it's, if you like Bakuman, which is one of the greatest anime I ever made. I like anime that's about otaku shit, like manga and anime. Anime that's about high school clubs that like manga and anime and video games. Like, Genshin. Also one of the greatest anime ever made. So, it's not that great of a show. It's just kind of a stupid comedy, Mangaka and his assistants, but it's interesting. I like it. Next up, we have the Kawaii Complex, or the full name is Kawaii Complex Guide to Manners and Hostile Behavior, which is about this dude who moves into this hostel, which a bunch of other people live in with this old woman who runs the place. And there's like this guy that's a big pervert, and there's this girl that's a big boozer and kind of a slut, and there's this other girl that the main guy has a love interest with. And it's just a slice of life anime, but it's just like an episodic kind of show. It's really good. If you're looking for something to watch, highly recommend it. Okay, now we're getting into some good shit. And this one you probably heard of. I didn't really know what category to put it in, but it's Kill la Kill. Kill la Kill is made by the guys who made Gurren Lagann. So it's one of those super hyper, always crazy action going on in the scene kind of anime. I think Bob Samurai recommended it, and that's how I heard about it. And it's about basically these two girls, and they have these super clothes-based superpowers. They have these, their school uniforms are basically to give them superpowers. And there's a bunch of other, like the one girl's mom makes the clothes, and the clothes are kind of tied into like aliens and stuff. Like everybody at the school has different power level clothes. So it's pretty cool. It's amazing. Just watch it. I don't want to tell you too much. There's a lot of like almost full nudity too, so that's pretty good. Next I want to talk about No Game No Life. I think is probably the next one I'm going to talk about. Now, No Game No Life. Fucking epic. It started out kind of slow, but by episode 5 or 6, shit ramps up and it gets totally badass. It's about this guy and his sister who are online gamers that have never lost a battle online, and they go by the name blank. They don't even put in a name when they have like high scores or whatever. So they get sucked into this world where everything is based on games, and they have these rules where if you start a wager, you place a bet with somebody, and the one who doesn't place the bet gets to make the rules and shit. And they're trying to they become the king of this one area, and there's all these other areas they have to take over. And they end up fighting these super powerful beings, and everybody that's in their kingdom is worried because they're taking all these crazy risks with their lives and betting everything on it, and they just don't give a fuck. And they come up with these crazy ways to win, and they fucking never lose. And episode 6, I think it was, where they play this game where they have to name, like you have to say a word, and your next word, the next person has to use the last letter of the first word, do the first letter of the next word. And whatever word you say, if it's in the room, it disappears, and if it's not in the room, it appears. So they start using like molecular shit and oxygen and the mantles of the earth and the core of the earth to suck this being down into gravity, and then to get rid of the Coriolis effect, or not the Coriolis effect, the one where I forgot what it's called, and then they suck the oxygen out of the place, but then she puts the air back in because she didn't know what oxygen was, and then they had like a nuclear missile starting off just to test her knowledge of what kind of stuff she knew about because she wasn't from their universe. It was just fucking mind-blowing shit. So that's a little bit of a spoiler there. I probably should have said something, but I didn't explain it well enough to really give you any details about what actually happened. But then it just gets crazier and crazier as it goes on. And you've definitely got to see No Game No Life if you haven't seen it. Okay, next I want to talk about Aldnoah Zero, which is, I guess you'd call it a mecha anime. There's mechs, but it's not your typical Gundam type mechs. I mean, it kind of is, but there's Earth people, and then there's people from Mars, which are all rich assholes, because I don't know if they're not originally from Mars. There's a guy who went to Earth from Mars, and he found this technology which let him control this alien ancient technology called the Aldnoah Drive, which made them make super powerful mechs. So now they're all jealous because Mars sucks and it's all dry and desert, and they want to go back to Earth and take it over. But the Earthlings are they're digging in, and they're coming up with clever ways to keep them off and take over, and it's just struggling to survive, and one kid's super smart and stuff. Totally worth watching. It's awesome. And next on my list, actually I'm not even going down the list in order, I'm just picking and choosing, trying to put things in categories. Sword Art Online, obviously. You probably heard of it. It's a badass anime. It is based on the original season. Season 1 started out with people are in this MMORPG with virtual reality things where you're locked in with your haptic devices where you can control everything, and it feels like you're really in there. But the guy who created it decided to be a bitch and made it where once the game started and everybody was in, there's 800,000 people or something like that. I can't remember the big number, but it was you can't log out, and so people start putting all these people in hospitals and taking care of them because they can't log out of the game and they can't go to the bathroom or eat or sleep. So they're in there for months and months, and then they start having people, if you die in the game, you die in real life. So some of the people start this group and they PvP and they start murdering people in the game. So season 2, after season 1 resolves itself, season 2 is about a different game and some more crazy shit happens. But in season 3, which we're on right now, there's this new game called Gun Gale Online that they're playing, and it's kind of like DayZ, and it's really interesting. And there's this one guy that has a gun that can kill anybody in the game, but they thought that was all over with, but he's from the original game, and it's I don't know, the way they do it with the guns and stuff, it's really awesome. So the one guy, he was originally from this fantasy RPG, so he doesn't use a gun, he uses a sword, and he gets badass. So, now, I want to recommend a couple of, psychological thrillers. A lot of people talk to me about Death Note, and everybody loves Death Note. And if you like Death Note, these next two you're going to probably like as well. First one is Psychopass. It's kind of Minority Report. Remember that movie with Tom Cruise, I think? Where they can predict the future crimes of people and what you're thinking and decide if you're a criminal or not. It's kind of like that. And there's these cameras everywhere, and it kind of makes you think about society nowadays where we're all under surveillance all the time. it basically revolves around the police and this one girl that's a cop. She's like a rookie on the force, and she has to go capture these people that are committing all these heinous crimes. But some of the crimes aren't really that heinous, which makes you like think about like why or what would happen if society got this restrictive. And they start using the criminals that they've been caught, that have been deemed psychopaths or whatever, or criminals, and they use them kind of like hunting dogs to hunt down other criminals, because they're the only ones that can think like that, because everybody else has been cleared psychologically by these machines and stuff. It's kind of Matrixy too, so I highly recommend that. Now, another psychological thriller you're probably going to like, I've just started watching, called Zankyo no Terror, which is, I don't know what Zankyo means, but it's basically about these two kids that are terrorists, and they're two guys. Basically, it's like Columbine, if Columbine kids were Al-Qaeda, but not really, because it makes it seem like they're the good guys, and they set off all these bombs, but nobody really gets hurt. There's a lot of injuries and stuff, but nobody gets killed, I don't think. And then they're from this facility in the past, really flashbacks, and you don't know where they came from. Maybe they're trying to like alert the government about this facility by using all these bombs or something, kind of not indirectly alerting them. I don't know what the point of it is. But there's this girl in the anime. The only bad part about it is this stupid girl. She doesn't need to be in the anime. She's totally non-influential. It doesn't really matter. Except the latest episode, she kind of like said start using her to like create a diversion, because there's this other girl that was from the facility that they're from. And she's like working with the police, but she's also not working with the police, because she's trying to like fuck them over and actually set off bombs that'll kill people and then blame them for it, and she's all psychotic and shit. Fucking amazing. Zankyo no Terror. You gotta see that shit. Now we're getting into the really good shit. Akame ga Kill. If you haven't heard of Akame ga Kill, it is fucking amazing. It's probably my favorite one on this list that I'm mentioning, because if you played Skyrim and you know about the Dark Brotherhood guys, right? The assassins. You become an assassin with Dark Brotherhood. This anime is about this group in this feudal kind of fantasy world, and there's all these corrupt politicians, and they're working to like assassinate people. And there's these ancient legendary weapons that some of them have, and some of the bad guys have. And if two people have these weapons, different types of weapons, if they fight each other, one of them is guaranteed to die. So, if you like Walking Dead, which also kills off a lot of main characters a lot. No, wait, not Walking Dead. What kind of does? Game of Thrones. It's also like Game of Thrones, because there's always like these main characters are dying off. You don't know who's going to live in each episode, who's going to die. And there's some characters, they start out, they seem really nice, and then they turn out really fucking evil, but not really. But then they get killed, or they don't get killed, I don't remember. I can't spoil anything for you because it's going to ruin it, but this fucking show, everybody is at risk from dying. And even the main characters, or people you think is main characters, I don't know. A lot of people die, a lot of people live, a lot of crazy weapons get involved. It's fucking great. So that's all of the non-sports anime I think I have on my list. Now, a while back, what are the original sports anime I used to watch? Because I started like Hajime no Ippo. It's about boxing, which is kind of like, you know, Dragon Ball Z type animes. They kind of build up and they show you like your crazy training regimens and how you get better and better progressively and you get super strong. Hajime no Ippo is kind of like that, but it's about a sport, so it's kind of more realistic. So Baby Steps is an anime I've been watching, which is like a tennis anime, and it starts out like this. This guy's like really good at taking notes, and he studies his opponent, and he draws out like every shot of every game he plays, and he like analyzes situations, and then he starts training his body. There's this really hot chick that like likes him because he's starting to play tennis with her and stuff. Really good show. What's another one that's like that? Oh, Ookiku Furikabutte or something. That was one of those old baseball shows I used to watch about this kid who was a pitcher. It's really good. So I've seen a lot of sports anime, and always Giant Killing was one about soccer. But Stormkiller recommended me this one called OneOunce, which is about this guy who's a pitcher, but he's not really a baseball pitcher. He pitches for this game they call OneOunce, where you have like one batter and one pitcher, and you have to either strike him out, or if the guy gets a hit, then he wins, and you place a bet on whether he's going to strike him out or not. And this guy's not really that good at pitching, but he's so good at gambling and reading people's expressions and emotions and figuring people out that he just never loses. So that's really interesting. That's one of those animes you wish would keep going because it ended too soon. Like they could have done way more with it. Then I watched Kuroko no Basuke, which is about this guy named Croco, and he plays basketball. And there's other guy that he was originally from Japan. He went to America and he came back with all this American-style basketball. And there's these 5 legendary basketball players, which all have different skills. Like one's a really good 3-point shooter, and one's an amazing center, and all this kind of stuff. So this guy from America is getting up to the level of one of these legendary guys, and he has one of the legendary guys on his team. And all the other legendary guys are split up between their own teams. So it's all this big drama about like who's the best, which team's the best, and he's got the guy that's really good at passing, which he can't shoot worth a shit, but he's amazing at passing. It's really awesome. There's like 51 episodes, and we're waiting on a new season to start. By the way, what's that other show that we're waiting on? Oh, Attack on Titan. I think I might have heard it's gonna be, yeah, it's gonna be 2015, sometime before Attack on Titan comes back on. So you can use all these other shows I've been mentioning in the meantime while you're waiting on Attack on Titan. Another sports anime, Diamond no Ace, which is about a kid who played like middle school baseball, and he's the only one on his team that gave a shit. And then he gets recruited into this high school baseball team, and it's just like he's one of the 4 pitchers on the team, and they like work and train him and stuff. It's all about the training and stuff and how you get better and better. It's kind of like that Dragon Ball Z kind of stuff I was talking about. It's just really good sports anime. I don't know what to say about it. Then I was like, let me find some more sports animes, and I found this one called Haikyuu, which is about volleyball. And there's one little kid who wants to be a spiker, and he joins his team with this guy who's like one of the best setters in province or whatever, prefecture. And nobody liked him because he was like really arrogant, because he was like so good that he would try to set it too fast and nobody could hit his sets. But this other kid totally puts his trust in him, and he just sets it blindly, and just he'll put it right in his fucking hand where he can't miss. And then people start catching on to that, and they have to start working around it, and all this clever strategy and stuff's involved. So that's pretty good sports anime too, Haikyuu. Then I was like, let me see what else kind of sports I can find. And I found one called Yowamushi no Peta, or Yowapeda, about cycling and bicycle races. And I'm like, I don't give a shit about bicycle races. Let me watch this. It was actually good. It's about this little kid. He's like a nerdy kid. He's an otaku, and he takes his mommy bicycle to, what do you call it? Akihabara? Not Akihabara. A place in Tokyo where all the anime shit is. He drives there from school every day for like so many miles, and he's done so much of it that he's actually a really good bicyclist, and he's never used an actual racing bike that you can change gears on, and it's made to race with. And like he's like super good at hill climbing, and he joins his team, and like they'll have these certain like one's good at straights, one's good at sprinting or whatever. I'm not really sure how these bicycle races work, where like you start out on a straight, and then whoever wins that, doesn't really matter because the whole team catches up to them again, and then they start the next leg, and it's all like this endurance thing. I don't really understand bicycle racing, but it's a really good show. So then I was like, let me get even crazier. Let me find this other anime called Free Iwatobi Swim Club, about swimming. I'm like, how the fuck can you make swimming interesting? But anime somehow does. I mean, it's more about the relationships between the dudes than it is than the swimming and their coach and their teacher and these other guys from this other team that all they grew up as kids together and all. It's more about the drama and the characters than it is about the swimming. And it's a little bit gay. It seems a little gay. There's a little bit of gay moments in it. But that's alright. We can handle a little bit of gay. And I think that is all the anime that I wanted to recommend today. That's all I wrote down. So enjoy your 9/11, and hopefully you will have seen this video before you were blown up in a giant nuclear explosion.